Hi, my name is Master Sergeant Aliya Abdullah. I am the Bravo Company Section 3 Section Chief for Recruiting and Retention in Macon, Warner Robins, Dublin, and Milledgeville.
Hi, my name is Staff Sergeant Zakiya Abdullah. I am the Social Media Manager for Recruiting and Retention under the Marketing section.
So my original MOS was 74 Charlie, which was a telecommunications operator. And I actually did my first AIT here in Georgia and had never been to Georgia before. So did that first AIT here, and then they phased that MOS out. So I ended up being a 92 Yankee, 92 Alpha, an armorer. That was the three things I did at the unit level in Illinois. And then I transferred here as a 92 Yankee. I was working at an advertising agency and they closed, and they said I had two choices. I could either move back to Chicago and work in their Chicago office, or they'd give me a severance package. So I went to the nearest recruiting office and said, look, I got a good discharge, I think I should get back in. So the recruiter who enlisted me at that time needed an assistant. And I was like, okay, this is a perfect time for me to get a full active duty paycheck on ADOS order. He said, yeah, but you need these lists of documents and you've never been to your unit yet. And I said, let me worry about that. A week later, I brought him all the documents. I just called the unit and said, hey, I'm new. This is what I need. I'd like to be on some ADOS orders with recruiting, and I've been in and around recruiting ever since, for the last 17 years.
So initially when she rejoined the Guard, it was, I could say there was a little bit of a challenge. She was like, okay, we need to talk. I gotta go to school. I'm like, school for what? But I was just, hey, if you gotta go to school, I guess you gotta go to school. I have to go to school. We both in school. And I didn't really understand it until it was happening and she was gone, and I could only talk to her on the phone. And I miss her a lot. That's one thing that I knew for sure. But like once I got older, maybe like 12 or 13, I was like, okay, bye. See you later. I'll see you when you get back. Or, showing up to the graduation. Like, I was so extremely proud of her just being at the graduation. I was like, man, maybe I can do this. My mom has been my biggest influence with joining the Georgia National Guard, just because of how I watched her move with her soldiers. I didn't see leadership. I saw it in the household all the time, but it wasn't until I joined the National Guard that I saw my mom actually lead soldiers that are just like me.
When she told me, I was just chatting with her about, I took her to a presentation. I also let her come to one of the drill weekends where I was the training NCO. And so she kind of got to see kind of how I ran things. But I took her to a presentation at a high school, and 2 weeks later, she let me know that she had signed herself up for the ASVAB at the school. I was very proud that I didn't have to drag her to the recruiting station and force her. She kind of took it upon herself to go ahead and say, I'm gonna go in this direction. So I was very proud. And it's been a lot of proud moments just seeing her get promoted from rank to rank. I've been able to promote you three times.
Every ceremony.
Every ceremony, from PFC, from E4, E5, and E6. Both myself and my youngest daughter, her sister, have been able to participate in her promotion ceremony. So that brings me great, great pride to see her grow and just flourish in this organization. I could think of one challenge that she may have had because of how I operate. Whenever she took on a position with someone who knew me even in passing. She was expected to act a certain way, do this. I am very no nonsense. And so I think there was a slight struggle with her kind of living in my shadow. And we've had conversations about that, but she began to forge her own way and make her own relationships with a lot of different people in this organization. And I think that it became easy. Well, I watched it become easier for her to navigate with her own work ethic and her own ideals about how to run her kitchen. I was not a culinary arts specialist, so I could not begin to tell you what she learned in school and how to manage that. But she did an amazing job based on her higher leadership reaching out and telling me, or when they saw me in passing, hey, you've done an awesome job. We love having her. I got that a few times from Command Sergeant Major Ballinger. So yes, watching her carve her own path outside of my shadow was the biggest, probably hard for her, but great for me to see her grow in that way.
I can say that it started off as a challenge. She's definitely right about that, but because I know who I am and I do have my own identity, at times it did feel like being the president's daughter. Like, people come up to you, oh my God, are you Sergeant Abdullah's daughter? You look just like her. And don't let us be in the same vicinity and somebody call our name and both of us turn around and have the same mannerisms. It's a shock to people, but it's also funny. I don't get it. But I love having it because nobody else has what I have. And I do think once I started to surpass that challenge and I, found a little more of my identity, it really became true for me when I was an E5. So being a sergeant, I learned a lot, and I have plenty of experience. Yes, leading a team of 92 golfs in the field, and we got to cook for 1,000 people, or I got to make sure all the numbers, boots on ground, is what they need to be. So because we ordered a certain amount of meals, like I have to. Those were my areas of expertise, and I think that I am amazed that she is here to see my journey, but at the same time, I am just as proud of her as she is of me. Yeah, I am proud of you. I'm proud of you for being here, because I know I have friends whose moms aren't as present in their military career, and I'm just grateful to have you in mine, because I got one heck of a backbone. NCO Creed right there. Never doubt your talents. There's always something to learn. There's always something that you can do better. Always be in the way of progression, because as long as your NCO or YAR says that you're progressing, you'll be better picked up for other things and other missions that you are actually interested in. There's a lot in the Guard that the Guard offers that other components don't.
So my advice would be to inquire about everything. Nothing is handed to you. If you want information, find a way to get it. The World Wide Web, there are tons of websites. If you want to grow in the Guard, if you want to grow your career in the military, you've got to do the research. You've got to put in the time and the effort to get yourself where you want to be. It's up to you to control, like she said, your destiny, your career, your promotions. Be, know, do. Make sure you're where you're supposed to be, and you know what you're supposed to be providing in that moment, so that you can be seen in the best light. Another thing I probably would say would be stay away from people in your path that are doing the wrong thing, because that will just take you down a path you don't want to go.
Absolutely. It is important and imperative to be around more positive people that in your career that want to see you do great and want to see you move forward, but they can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself.